The first session tonight is around the use of the 360 Safe tool, which is available through Hub and is a really, really useful, beneficial tool for your school to be using in terms of ensuring that your provision for online safety and safeguarding your learners online is fully robust and can be tracked and used on a daily, monthly, termly basis. For those of you who have not met me before, my name's Sean Powell. I am the Associate Curriculum Partner for Digital Skills for the EAS. So if there's any support that you do require following tonight's session, my contact details are there on the screen now. You're welcome to contact me via email or using the phone number on the screen. So what are we going to cover in tonight's session? Well, we're going to start off by just considering why online safety is important and becomes a really important part of our school. We're going to introduce you then to the 360 Safe tool, have a little look around what it can be used for and how we can use it in our school. Simon Tilley from Nanta Park Primary School then has provided us with a little bit of a walkthrough and case study of how they have used the 360 Safe tool now over a number of years and in order to achieve the 360 Safe accreditation. We'll also then look at the policies and resources that are available to you to support your completion of the document, but also to support you with the wider teaching of online safety within your schools and your settings. And at the end of the session then we'll have any look at any future professional learning that is available to you and your school. So let's kick us off then with why is online safety important? And I think a really important document to take a little look at was this that was published last year by Ofcom, the Children and Parents Media Use and Attitude Report from April 2024. A really lengthy document, but some really key features and key headlines within that document that really highlight how the use of social media, technology, gaming has changed over time, and some of the things that we need to be aware of as educators, as carers, as parents moving forward in relation to the online safety piece. So some of the highlights that I wanted to pick out from that report was some of it was this here. So 5 to 7 year olds are becoming increasingly present online, which may pose a greater risk for them. And compared to last year, a higher proportion of all 5 to 7s use apps or sites to do each of the following activities. So they will do things such as sending messages or make voice or video calls, and that's risen from 59% to 65%. They will use things like social media apps or sites, and that's risen from 30% to 38%. Over the last year, there's been an increase of from 39 to 50% of 5 to 7 year olds watching live streaming apps or sites, and an increase from 34 to 41% of those who game online. Now, children at this age are more likely to use WhatsApp, so it's 37%. Of children this age, TikTok around 30%, Instagram around 22%, and Discord around 4%. And that's all again increased in comparison to last year. So really alarming figures there around the use of technology for 5 to 7 year olds. We've also seen an increase in the already high proportion of children who game online. Now, video gaming continues to be a key activity for children, rising from 57% in 2022 to 60% of all children aged 3 to 17 in the last year. Now, this increase is driven by children at both ends of the age bands in that study. So children often use online gaming as a tool to communicate with their peers, with around 64% of 8 to 17 year olds using online gaming as a chat function or a chat feature through the game with their friends and or people they know in real life. However, and this is the key stat, 31% of children who game online communicate with strangers as well. This report also found that children across all age groups perform potentially risky behaviours online. Now, 40% of 8 to 17 year olds admit to having given a fake age to gain access to a new site or app. 51% of children under the age of 13 report using social media sites or apps. And a higher proportion of 5 to 7 year olds now have their own profiles on specific social media platforms compared to last year. So if you consider things like YouTube to YouTube Kids, that's now 48% of 5 to 7-year-olds in comparison to last year's figure of 39%. In terms of WhatsApp, 11% of 5 to 7-year-olds now have their own account in relation to the 7% in the previous year. And when we consider Instagram, 9% of the 5 to 7-year-old population have now got their own account in comparison to 5% from the previous year. We also know that from this report that only a third of parents know the correct minimum age requirements for most social media platforms. Now, although the majority of parents of all 3 to 17-year-olds, so around 84%, are aware that there are minimum age requirements for using most social media apps or sites, only a third, that's around 32%, think it's correct. Only a third, 32%, think correctly that the minimum age requirement for most social media sites is actually 13 years of age. Again, another alarming stat. Now, when we consider attitudes and experiences in the online world, we know that children use the online space to foster connections with their peers. Now, despite recognising the benefits, many children are aware of the pitfalls of being online. Compared to boys, girls are more likely to say they have experienced nasty or harmful interactions in some online spaces. And girls are also more likely than boys to use online apps and services to benefit their health and well-being. When we consider technology and trust, 6 in 10 children are aware of algorithms. Just under half of this group say they don't mind algorithms using their data. Nearly half of all children in this study have used artificial intelligence technology, and they are twice as likely to have done so than adults have as well. When we consider critical evaluation of content online, okay, similar sort of figures there. Lots of children are, again, aware of those algorithms. They're aware of content online, but they find it challenging to recognise content that is being created using artificial intelligence against content that is being created by the human. And I think this is a really, really important part to lead us to, that the NSPCC say every child deserves to be and feel safe online. And this is why making sure we have robust online safety policies in our school is really, really important to ensuring that children do feel safe when they're accessing and engaging in the online space. Now, another really key document to point you towards is the ESTIN guidance around the inspection of ICT in schools. And in the questions to leaders section in the appendix at the bottom, there are specific questions around the use of online safety tools. And they ask schools during inspection, how secure are your online safety procedures? How well as a school do you use the 360-degree Safe Cymru tool to review and improve your online safety policy and practice? And if you're not using that, what tools are you using, and are they robust enough? So even more reason why to use this free online safety tool for you in your school to support the robust nature of safeguarding in the online space. So let's then take a look at 360 Safe Cymru. So 360 Safe Cymru, for those of you who are unaware, is a bilingual online self-evaluation tool for schools to use to assess and improve their school online safety provision and to support the creation and update of relevant safety policies. The tool is provided free to schools in Wales through the Hub platform. Now, the content of the 360 Safe Cymru online safety assessment is regularly updated to reflect changes in advice and guidance, which highlights the importance of regularly going back into this tool to review the changes that have been made. Schools need to regularly revisit their online safety policies and practices to ensure they are up to date with the latest advice and guidance. Now, at this time, 98% of schools have registered to use the tool, but only 70% of schools have completed a full review. But from that, only 24% of schools, and this is across Wales, have updated their review in the last 12 months, which means that the information and policies that you currently have may not reflect the latest advice and guidance that is available to you. So this is the 360 Safe tool then. It allows you to produce or review your online safety policies. It helps you to develop good practices for keeping safe keeping your users safe in that online world. Now, we would encourage you to revisit or begin your review by logging into the Hub platform, clicking on that 360 Safe Cymru icon and accessing the tool if you've not already done so. Now, once you have logged into Hub, that 360 Cymru icon will become available on your homepage. And if your school is not registered for an account, then they need to contact the Hub self-service desk and they will be able to get you registered or change the ownership of the person who is in charge of that account. Really, really important that you do that by logging in to that Hub platform. Now, the 360 Safe tool is quite a robust tool. It's quite large and it's broken down into multiple different layers. So the first layer are the 4 different elements of the safety tool. So they are the ones in the blue across the top of the screen there. The elements provide the highest level in the structure, defining the 4 main categories in which the review is carried out. So you can see there, we review against policy and leadership in your school. We consider education of 360 and online safety policy. We consider technology, and we also then consider the outcomes. Now, each element provides you with a starting point for the review, and then will consist of a number of strands and aspects underneath. You can see that in the yellow boxes, there are 8 strands in total, divided between each of the 4 elements. And each of those strands then is further divided into different aspects. The aspects then can be seen in the green boxes at the bottom, and across the 4 elements, the 8 strands, there are 21 different aspects that as a school you will need to review and complete. Within the 21 aspects in total, you will see that there are 5 level statements, starting with level 5, moving through to level 1, which represents the highest level of achievement. Schools, or yourself as you're going through this tool, will select the statement that best reflects your current position. So if you're a level 5, you'd select 5, 4, and so on. The benchmark level for the online safety mark is indicated alongside the relevant level statement. So in order to achieve the online safety accreditation, you need to get to level 2 for this particular element here. And that can be seen with that red mark on the right-hand side of level 2. Now, once you are into your 360 tool and you have made your way through the review, you will then see on the dashboard a radar graph, which provides you with an overview of your school's progress and then the areas of online safety that need further development. The levels you have selected for each aspect will be shown in a green radar around the centre, with the current national level highlighted in blue, which you can see there on the screen. The red dotted line around the outside then is the recommended benchmark level to be able to achieve the online safety accreditation. So I've just taken you through a little walkthrough there of what that looks like. Let's jump into the 360 Safe demo and see what that looks like. So I'm just going to jump over to another screen and I'm going to show you how to navigate your way to the 360-degree tool. So hopefully now you can all see my screen. You should be able to see the Hub platform in front of you. If you can't, please do let me know via the chat or via the by turning your microphone on. If you've just joined us, welcome, and we'll sort the attendance out towards the end. Okay, so just to show you then how to navigate your way to 360 if you are in Hub. As you've seen, once you log into the Hub platform, you'll see then that the 360 Cymru icon appears there in the middle of your dashboard. It might appear in a different place to you, but that's where it sits on mine. If I select the 360 Safe icon, what you can now see is that I have the ability to access 360 Safe, which is the online safety provision, but also the 360 Digi tool. Now, 360 Digi is an extension of 360 Safe in that it takes into account the further aspects of digital learning in your school, such as professional learning, curriculum provision and pedagogy, EdTech, and the leadership of digital learning. But today we're going to have a look at this 360 Safe Cymru award. Now, once I get into my online safety review, you can see as I land straight on the page, I've got my radar graph here, which I've just explained. So the blue level in the middle is the current national level. The red level around the outside is the benchmark. And then as you complete each section, you will then get a green dot that will appear on the radar here. Now you can review your provision in two different places. You can do it underneath the radar here where it says review, or in the top left-hand corner here, you can select review. When I click on to review, then you can see now I've got these four elements: policy and leadership, education, technology, and outcomes. And the statements that you read in front of you are the level 1 statements. So this is the gold standard of what you're hoping to achieve. And then when you click on to policy and leadership, it breaks it down into those two different strands. And I can click on there again, and it will take me through then to the different level statements. So as I go through now, I can select the level statement that I feel is most pertinent to my school. And then what I really love about this tool then is it will give you the suggested actions to reach the next level. So it's almost building for you a little bit of an action plan, what to do next as you go through. What you can also do then, if you're going for that accreditation and that level 2 benchmark, is if you click on enter commentary, you can now in here put a brief overview of your current position related to that statement. And then underneath, you could put in some evidence to support that current position. So it could be a hyperlink to your online safety policies, any resources that you use, posters, and you can see for each one, it gives you some examples of the evidence that you might want to include in that evidence to support the current position. From there, then it gives you a kind of a highlight of the things that you need to consider to move to the next level. And you can then put in some bullet points around what actions you're going to take that particular strand or element to the next level of the tool. You can also see then across the top, I've got the resources tab. And if I click on the resources tab, then it will give me hyperlinks directly to resources that will support the development of that particular element or strand of the 360 Safe Cymru tool. Once you're happy, you click on the save button, and then that will answer save on your chart there. I can go back to the review, and you can tell it, what I really like then is it will tell you when you updated it. So you can see it was updated just now. It will tell me how many of the 6 statements in this one I have answered, what my current position is, how many evidence documents that I've placed in there, and then how many times I filled in the improvement plan. So it's a really clear, succinct way of you being able to see as an overview how you are updating each of the statements as you go through. So if I just jump back to the review dashboard, okay, you can see now that my green dot has appeared on my radar graph, and as you fill that in, that will all then appear throughout the year. Now, what I would say is this tool is really robust. I wouldn't expect you as an individual to go in here and answer each individual strand in one hit. I would suggest taking this over a period of time, maybe 2 terms perhaps, and looking at each of the elements half term at a time. But I wouldn't do that in isolation. I'd be looking to do that as part of a group or a team in my school that would help me support finding evidence, but also being able to deliver on some of the different aspects of that, that review. Are there any questions at this point around just how you navigate your way through the 360 Safe tool and how it can be used in the classroom? No, okay. The other thing to highlight then is once you've completed in your radar graph here, you've got the review option, but also underneath the radar graph, you've got the reports tool there. If I click on the reports, what it will do now is it will give me a breakdown of a number of different things. So it will show me my progress summary. So where am I at? What do I need to do? I can get a more detailed summary. I can get an action plan. And the action plan tool is really, really useful. If I select the action plan tool, what it will do then is it will show me then the things that I've highlighted, what level I'm at, and then what recommendations for improvement I have. So I could, if I wanted to use that by hand, print off that action plan, highlight things as I do them as I go through. And you can see there that I can download that as a PDF, and I can open up that PDF then, and it will give me each of those actions as I go through. Now, obviously on mine, I've only just highlighted that first one there, but as I go through, you can see how the robust data that you'll get from this can really support your development in this particular area. So I'm just going to jump back across to the presentation. And hopefully you can see from that how the tool can be used and how you can use each aspect of it as you go through as well.
Hello, my name is Mr. Tilley, and I am the Digital Coordinator at Nanta Park Primary School in Singenneth in Caerphilly County Borough. And I'm here today to send you a little video talking about using the 360 Safe Cymru tool on Hub to help support your school's digital journey. Digital technology is one of the most important parts of our lives, whether that be as practitioners, as parents, or even as contributors to communities. So at Nanta Park Primary School, we have around 210 pupils on roll. We were first accredited with the 360 Cymru Award back in 2021. And this autumn, we are going for our 360 Cymru second assessment to continue our journey supporting our school's digital resilience. So, as I said, we live in a digital world. The way in which we learn, communicate, and interact has changed drastically over the years, and technology continues to evolve. Of all the areas of school life, I feel digital is the one that is always evolving. I do more presentations and events talking about change in digital. And whereas some areas like maths haven't really changed over the last 5-6 years, digital is changing every year. There's a research project linked to Martix's law that looks at that the consumer cannot keep up with the technology that is currently happening. For example, Apple and big companies have catched on to this, and that's why we get new phones, because we have created this kind of branching technology where we continue to move forward. And we have to ensure that we are providing the most innovative and creative and collaborative opportunities for our pupils. But at the same time, it is so important that our pupils understand how to be safe and creative contributors online. Technology has the ability to enhance, develop, and create learning opportunities in unimaginable ways. It inspires creativity, innovation, and collaboration, and has become a life skill that almost every career of everyday task seems lost without. I cannot complete my daily routine, being a father, being a husband, being a teacher, without the use of technology in some way, shape, or form. The digital statistics show that more roles are linked to IT and data. Technology skills are at the highest of what the next generation of future skills are looking at. In Europe, like in the United States, children have access to many electronic devices, 90% in the UK and 99% in Germany. Smartphone ownership is common among young children in age 5 to 6-year-olds and upwards in the United Kingdom. And that is always growing. The way we communicate now, the way that we even use behavior management strategies are linked to technology. There are apps such as 360 Live that allows parents to track their children's movement using a digital device, allowing parents to be continually connected to their children at all times. But with digital, like any tool, there are risks. For example, if we look at these statistics for the most important statistics for kids in technology, 65% of 8 to 14-year-olds have been involved in some sort of cyberbullying incident. 90% of children aged 8 to 16 have seen online pornography. And 30% of kids who have used the internet for over 3 hours were diagnosed with depression. Reports of child exploitation has risen dramatically since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, and that is continuing to grow. We have to ensure that we set up not only our staff, our parents, and our communities, but our pupils for an ever-growing digital world. This is why the DCF in the Welsh Government and many other different curriculums is designed to be so broad, because it adapts to the way technology is growing, and it readies us for that. Digital resilience involves having the ability to understand when you are at risk online, knowing what to do if anything goes wrong, learning from your experiences of being online, and being able to recover from any difficulties or upsets. Children who are digitally resilient will be equipped to handle the challenges of the modern digital world. This is one of the things we are striving at Nanta Park Primary School. We want to ensure that we are creating a generation, a culture of digital resilience. It's good knowing what is good and what is bad, but it's more important to be able to adapt to those situations. Having learners that are able to adapt to these situations in mature ways, to understand what they need to do and the processes they need to do to ensure not only they can be innovative and creative and have no limitations on their learning, but at the same time ensure they can do this in a safe way that doesn't impact on anyone else's, and also links to their well-being. Through these elements, learners engage with what it means to be a consistent digital citizen. We want our children to be able to understand how they are able to impact their lives positively, but in a safe way. And it's not just our learners either. We have to think about what's the best way we can ensure as digital leaders that we can impact our staff to also deliver that. because like many schools, you'll have your digital wizards in your school. You'll have your staff who are digitally switched on. But how can you ensure as a digital leader of a school that you can ensure that all your staff are all singing from the same hymn sheet? How can we ensure that we are all consistently sending the same message? Good schools are consistent. Excellent schools are consistently good. And it's ensuring that we have some sort of resource to support us as digital leaders, that we're not alone and able to give the support that we need to our staff, to give the CPD and training to our pupil leadership groups, to ensure that this massive, massive role isn't done on our own. Identity, image and representation, health and well-being, digital rights, licensing and ownership, and online behaviour and bullying all come under that digital citizenship strand. So, the 360 Safe Company Toolkit. So the 360 Safe Company Toolkit, in my personal opinion, is one of the best tools for digital leaders on any platform. And for us to be able to have this as a free resource and hub as Welsh practitioners is phenomenal. The 360 Safe Company Toolkit is designed to support you as leaders to digitally transform your school and support your journey to become digitally resilient community. I say community because the toolkit is not only supports the teaching and learning in your school of digital citizenship and digital resilience, but it also supports your staff, how to train your staff, how to support your parents, how to create policies and procedures, create a team to support you. It helps you reflect on your own digital journey as a school. And for me, as a digital practitioner in my school, I'm always referring to this toolkit to think what is next. And what I love about this toolkit, it is always being updated. So even once you complete the 360 Safe Company, unlike some of these toolkits that you can complete and you get your certificate and then that's done, it goes on the shelf, you put your lovely certificate on the wall in your foyer of your school, and then you never look back at it. The 360 Company Toolkit is continually updated. We are just going for our second accreditation now this term. And as I've been going on the 360 Toolkit, things have evolved because technology is evolving. For example, when we completed the 360 Company Toolkit back in 2021, AI was only less frequently talked about. Now I cannot scroll through my Twitter without having some sort of AI generate your own reports spam sent at me. That's how technology works. It's ever evolving. So your toolkit has to evolve or be broad enough, like the DCF, to be able to encompass how we can deliver digital skills while digital technology is improving. So what impact is that in school? Because that is the key moment. That is, I'm spending my time, which as teachers we don't get a lot of. How can I show that this project that I'm going to put my time into it has had an impact in school? So since starting our journey, we now have a Nandy Park team that supports the whole school in promoting digital resilience. This includes parents, teachers, pupils, and our stakeholders. We provide staff with regular opportunity to develop skills. We deliver twilights. We deliver workshops. We've even travelled around the UK, going to other schools to share our practice and to see practice of excellence to bring back to us. Feedback from these and from our staff has shown a great sense of resilience when using digital resources. Our parents are having opportunities to learn tips and tricks through parental engagement, and we're at a point now, which is a brilliant thing to see as a leader, that our pupil leadership groups are leading digital resilience in our school, and they are now leading these. Me then, as an overarching leader, can help support and facilitate this. There's nothing more powerful than seeing your pupil leadership being able to promote things like digital resilience in your school and your community. So some top tips. So again, starting this journey can take some time and it can be awful daunting. So these are kind of the top tips that I found out. So the first thing I would say is having a 360 Safe team. Our team included digital leaders and they created new ways of reporting incidents to ensure pupils understand the procedure to report an incident and stay safe, such as using a check-in device to automate emails to teachers to support reporting incidents. We have been working on cyberbullying and working closely with our parents to ensure that we can deliver workshops so parents can see these things. We've even created our own newsletter. So we have monthly newsletters that focus on just internet safety that go out to all our parents. These could be things from, is this game appropriate for my child? What devices and how to check security devices and safety settings on devices during the Christmas holiday. It could be looking at upcoming things such as AI to support our parents into understanding the different needs and how we can stay safe no matter how far technology moves forward. So like I said, don't do it alone. Create a digital team. Digital is not the little brother and sister to literacy and numeracy. Instead, it's by its side. It needs to be incorporated thematically across your school through the TCF. So if we're thematically promoting this across all AOLEs, then we can't have one leader. The best thing to do is to speak to your senior leadership team and get a broad team. There are also so many untapped resources available to use. The great thing is the 360 Safe Toolkit does show you a lot of different pathways that you can take to finding resources. However, we're very lucky in the sense that Hub is pushing out continual resources to support this. For example, there's a big thing on the teaching and learning and schemes of work. The 360 Safe Toolkit is one of the only resources that supports your school's digital resilience. For example, it will advise you to use the common sense media resources. These are differentiated activities and lesson plans for years 1 all the way to 13. What's great about them as well is they've been looked at by the Welsh Government team, and now all of the jargon and American phrases have been replaced and are easy accessible and linked to our curriculum. It's there for you already using. There are lots of others as well, such as Google Interland that can really support you, and a lot of other resources out there available. But look for untapped resources. The best thing to do as well is look for the EAS to see if any events are going in place, because a lot of these events will showcase good practice that are being done across schools across Wales. There are loads of playlists and educational packs linked to digital citizenship, and also keep an eye out for Safer Internet Week. That's a great week for you to see podcasts, join groups and chats, and talk to other practitioners about what they're doing in their schools. I'm always at the Safer Internet Week, as it's a brilliant way to also engage with your pupil leadership groups. Take your time, focus on one area, and the others will come. The 360 Safe Recovery Toolkit is an incredible tool for schools. However, it's also a very large and often daunting toolkit, and you kind of think, where do I start? Focus on a particular area like starting your group, and gradually move through the toolkit. You could even delegate different parts to different parts of your group, and then come back. By focusing on a small area at a time, not only is the toolkit less daunting, but you begin to see the links within other areas. Here is some of the evidence of those common sense media. They have been a massive hit with our school, and have really helped support our pupils and teachers into thinking, what lessons can I do? The great thing is these are also continually updated, so they fit the growing sense of how technology is ever expanding. I hope this video has been helpful to help you have a kind of a sense of how important the 360 Toolkit is. As digital leaders, we have a massive part in our role that is keeping our children safe online. And it is so important to ensure that before we think about getting the fanciest VR headsets or the most amazing digital rooms and digital resources, if your infrastructure and your internet safety is not core and strong, everything else will fall apart. Focus on this, take your time, and enjoy it, because it's really helped us as a school. And for schools that I've talked to who have started the 360 journey, they've really seen the improvements too. If you need any other more information, you can contact Sean with the EAS or myself, and you can check out my Twitter, where I usually post updating things on 360 Safe, and I also post different things about digital resources that could support you at Super Mr. Tilly on Twitter. Diolch yn fawr.
Okay, so thank you to Simon there for providing that video of a little bit of a journey of how he and the team at Nanta Park have kind of gone through completing the 360 Safe Toolkit. And I think he says a couple of times, it can be quite daunting. Try not to do it all at once. Maybe take a couple of steps in terms of getting your group set up, get some buy-in from your senior leadership team, but also then just go through it stage by stage, whether you delegate some of the different elements out to different people, you do little bits at a time, just build it up slowly as you go. I think one of the key things, he says about this is really important and incumbent on us as educators to ensure that our pupils are safe online. And as I said at the start of this presentation, there are the stats about children accessing online world now is getting higher and higher every year. So it really is important for us that we provide that education standpoint for them around how to keep themselves safe and how to go and who to go to when they need to as well. So thank you again to Simon. And as he said, if you want to reach out to him and find out any more, then you can find him on Twitter or contact me and I can put you in touch with Simon in the future. Now, we were due to have Sarah from SRS to kind of just talk through how they as a service can support you with completing some elements within the 360 Safe. Sarah was unable to attend the session this evening, but is putting together some sort of frequently asked questions based off the back of the 360 tool, particularly around the element of technology, the infrastructure element here, filtering, monitoring and technical security, things that as leaders sometimes that are a bit beyond us. We tend to focus on the curriculum and how that looks in the school. These are things that will be supported by your service provider, so whether that's SRS or the Caerphilly ICT group. And Sarah will be putting together some answers on how you can complete the 360 Safe tool based on those elements. So once I have that, I will share that with you via the relevant spaces, and it'll also go up onto the EAS Supporting Our Schools website. Okay, so just last little section then really is just to highlight some of the resources that are available to you to support you with the development of the 360 Safe toolkit in your school. Now, I'll demonstrate this in a second, but I'll just put the slides up so you can see where they are. In Hub, probably one of the most important places that you can go is the Keeping Safe Online toolkit. Now in here, everything that you need around policies, guidance, resources, training around online safety is available through this portal. And whilst all of the 8 kind of tiles here are extremely useful, the 2 that I'm just going to point you towards tonight that I think will be really beneficial to you are the learning and teaching resources. And Simon spoke about the common sense media, and I'll show you some of those resources in a second. And the second place I'm going to point you towards is the app guides for parents and carers. Again, a really, really useful resource that can kind of support you with how you deal with some of these online incidents in school. So let's jump across to Hub and have a little look at where we can find some of those resources. So hopefully now you can see the Hub dashboard on my screen. So I'm going to jump into that Keeping Safe Online portal. Again, the first 2 places we're going to look at are the learning and teaching resources and the app guides for parents and carers. So we're going to start off with learning and teaching resources. And in here, you can see there are around 440 different resources that are available around the teaching of online safety and digital citizenship in your school. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for the common sense media resources, because I think these are a really robust tool, again, that are available to you as a practitioner for free. So I'm just going to select publishers, and I'm just going to drop down the page until I find common sense education. If I select common sense education, what you can see is, again, a huge amount of resources available. And they are listed in terms of how recently they've been uploaded to the platform. So you can see here, quite usefully, the first hit there is the Common Sense Education AI literacy lessons for secondary pupils, but that's not the sources that we're going to look at today. That'll come in a later session. I'm just going to go over to the right-hand side here, and I'm going to order them by the most popular. And when I do that, you can see then the first tile on the screen is this one here, the Common Sense Education Digital Citizenship Curriculum Lesson Plans from year 1 to 13. And there are around 18,000 hits on this page. So if I open this up now, it will take me through to a playlist with a huge amount of resource available to you. If I just come across to the right-hand side, I've now got hyperlinks to each year group. So when I click onto one of these links, what I then get is a full set of lessons and resources that I can use in the classroom. So let's take year 6 as an example. When I click onto year 6, I've now got a hyperlink to 6 different lessons. And you can almost see this as a lesson per half term, so that you're keeping it on the boil and you're constantly talking about online safety rather than just leaving it for Internet Safety Day or Internet Safety Week. You can see that based on the topics here, as they get older, the topics become more mature and things that they'll be dealing with when they're in that online world. So let's go on to Beyond Gender Stereotypes as an example. What I've now got here is a fully resourced lesson. So for those teachers who feel less confident teaching these kinds of things, you've now got a fully resourced lesson that gives you your outcomes, how long it's going to take you, the resources that you're going to need, any key vocabulary that you might come across so you know exactly what they are. And then it takes you through step by step on how you would need to deliver that particular lesson. But what I also really like about this is on the right-hand side, to go with those lesson plans, I've got presentations that I can go and use as well. So I can select the presentation and then I can go through slide by slide, and it shows me exactly the things that I'm going to be sharing with my learners as well. It also then gives you the resources that you might need to use, and you can use these if you want. They are quite paper-based, but if you want to use them on an iPad and use digital pencil or Apple Pencil, or you could create up your own activity that goes with this in a digital space, you're more than welcome to do so. The resources then that you need will all be there. There's often a quiz to check any understanding following the session. But what I really, really like about the Common Sense Media resources is that there are family activities that you can send home following the session. So if you taught a particular lesson in school, you've then got an activity that you can send home as a follow-up to educate the parents as well around the information that you've shared in the class on that day. And there's also then family tips from year 1 to 6 on how to, in this case, help children post online, but it could be again relevant to whatever the lesson was taught on that day. The other fantastic thing about these resources is they are bilingual as well. So if you are using Hub through the Welsh element, these resources are available in both English and in Welsh, so can be taught across the settings too. So that's a really, really useful tool. Highly recommend those resources. And if anything, it helps you ensure that you're teaching that digital citizenship aspect of the curriculum in a particularly correct and purposeful way. Just going to jump back to Hub now and show you that other area that we wanted to look at, and that was the app guides for parents and carers. These are really, really useful in terms of ensuring that you have got the most up-to-date knowledge on the different things that pupils, learners in your class, in your care are using. This resource is great in terms of providing you with that detailed overview of those things. So as you scroll through here, you can see probably things that you've heard of, things like Call of Duty, ChatGPT, Facebook, but there's also things in there that you might not be aware of, things like Gacha Life, Replica, which has recently been in the news around AI chatbots and asking people to meet up with different people. And you can see again all the other different things. Now I'm just going to jump into TikTok, because TikTok is probably one of the most popular apps that are out there being used. And on each of these app guides, the format is exactly the same every time. So you can see here, I've got a really robust overview now of what TikTok is. It gives me an overview in this section here. It also then provides me with an official age rating for each of the apps. And I think these are really useful for conversations that you might have with parents. It shows you how children and young people will use the app, so it just gives you an idea of how they might be engaging with the content. This bit here I think is really useful, the key features and terminology. So if you're not sure what some of the things mean, you're not sure what the lingo is, then you can click on here and you can just get a quick overview. So for example, if you didn't know what effect house was, you can click on there and it gives you then an overview of what an effect house is. Really simply. Just to show you even more then, you've got the potential risks of the content, how people connect with each other, how they behave, the costs of using that app or that game. That's particularly important for things like Fortnite, Call of Duty, where children can go and buy what they call skins for their characters. And then this bit here is probably the most important bit, the tips for keeping your children safe online. So you can click on one of these, family pairing as an example, and it gives the parents, adults, carers exactly step-by-step guides on how to keep themselves and keep their children safe when they're online as well. And you've also then got some additional tips at the bottom. So again, that resource, the In the Know guides, constantly updated by a team of experts and will provide you with the most up-to-date information around the use of technology and social media as well. Okay, now the last thing I want to share with you in this session is the following resources. And again, really, really useful in terms of supporting you now with the elements of the 360 Safe tool. And that is the policies that are currently available to you in the 360 Safe toolkit, basically. Now, if you go to, again, that 360 Safe online portal, you click onto the 360 Cymru resource tile there. And then if you click on resources in the bottom left-hand side, it will then give you a tile basically that says 360 Safe Cymru resources. When you click onto that tile, it will then take you through to, just like when we went to look for the resources for teaching, it will take you through to the resources that are specifically tagged with 360 Safe Cymru. And you'll see there's one there that says 360 Safe Cymru, updated template policies and acceptable usage guidance 2024. So again, the one that's got around 8,000 hits on. If you click onto that tile, what you will then get is a list of policies that have been written and signposted, and pretty much everything that you need to cover in your policies in school are in these documents. So you can see that it ranges from your online safety policy to your user agreements through to technical security policies, device management, social media, and then also then templates for how your staff will report any breaches in online safety or things that they have seen. There's also a number of flow charts in there, so posters that you can put up in school on how to respond to an online safety incident. And again, all of those are available in both Welsh and in English. So if you're thinking about now rewriting any online safety policies or sharing user agreements with your pupils, your parents, your staff, please go and take a look at these, because it will save you a lot of time. All you will need to go through is go through it, put your name on it, maybe adapt it to make it purposeful for your setting, but the quality and the content is all there. You don't need to think about any of that as well. So if you're using those, you know that you are covered. And obviously, if you write them, make sure they're shared with your governing body and also with your staff, so they understand what the content inside those documents say. Okay, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm just going to open up for any questions if anyone has them. I appreciate that usually when we have online things, no one really wants to ask any questions, but if you do have any questions following today's session, you're welcome to drop me an email and I will do my best to answer any questions that you do have. But hopefully throughout tonight's session, we have covered off what we intended to, which was to think about why online safety is important, to look at the 360 Safe tool and how it can be used, to consider best practice, to look at some of those resources that are available, and also I'm going to highlight to you in a second the next session that we have available. So if there are no questions, thank you very much for taking your time to join us this evening. I appreciate on a Monday after school, it can be quite heavy, but if you do have a couple of minutes, if you wouldn't mind just scanning the QR code there, and completing the short evaluation on tonight's session. Similarly, if you are watching the recording, would really appreciate it if you could complete the evaluation for us. I'll just leave that on the screen there for a minute, and then before we finish then I'll share details of the next session that we'll be running around AI in schools. So, but our next session will be on Monday the 30th of September at 3:30 p.m. So that's 2 weeks today, and that is an introduction to artificial intelligence, AI, just kind of demystifying any of the challenges around AI, and that will be the first of 4 sessions around how we can integrate artificial intelligence into our schools. If you are interested in signing up for that session, then please do scan the QR code now. That will take you through to the booking form, and you'll be able to register yourself for that session. Much like this one, you'll get a link from Ticket Source with a link to the meeting on the 30th of September. There are my contact details again, so if you do need to get in touch following today's session around anything 360 Safe and online safety, please do feel free to get in contact. Thank you very, very much for joining us for tonight's session, which was the 360 Safe online safety policy, practice and procedure. I look forward to seeing you all in the future. Diolch yn fawr iawn and have a lovely evening.